Hello everyone, welcome back to Susie Saves. I am Susie. If you are new here, we are a dual income household of me and my husband, and we just had our wedding. A lot of people were very excited about this, as well as me, because I tracked everything. I wrote everything down. We did have a total amount that we were trying to stay under, and so we did some crafty things. And so I just wanted to share how much the wedding fully cost, in case any of you are wanting to budget a low expense wedding, and just kind of talk about that. So first and foremost, last February, we went to a wedding, and me being a bridesmaid, it cost me, I posted a video about this, but it cost me about $2,000 just to be in the wedding. It was out of state, so we had to buy accommodations and all that as well, but it was just absolutely crazy. The whole wedding itself, I've been told, was about $50,000, which is totally fine. You know, you can do whatever you want. It's your money, your life, but me and my husband had been working pretty seriously towards some financial goals, and so we didn't want the wedding to set us back on those goals. Choosing a number for the wedding was a little bit difficult. Originally, you know, there is a subreddit that is, I think it's called Wedding Under 10K, I think is what it's called. So for a while we were stuck at 10K, and then we kind of just sat down and ran the numbers and said, that's too expensive. I don't want to have that much for our wedding. So we decided on 5K to be the amount that we would try to stay under. And we planned everything. I'll talk a little bit about the timeline. Is this pen gonna give out on me? No, it should have enough ink in it. So first and foremost, the wedding was May 25th, 2025. We had 100 people that we invited. I think maybe half of that showed up, which was a little rough because like 80 RSVP'd. So we had a lot of extra food that we're still eating through, but as you know, things pop up. Luckily, it wasn't like the traditional wedding where we had to pay by plate or anything like that. So it didn't cost us too much to not have people show up. But first and foremost, let's jump into it. Let's begin. The first thing, and I'll show some pictures throughout this, so this is going to be an edited video, so I hope it looks good. We chose the venue, and we had, if you don't know, this date was Memorial Day weekend, so we were really nervous about securing a venue on a holiday. We actually just had it at a national park near us in Ohio, the Winton Woods National Park, and we called August the year prior, I think. It was pretty significantly before the wedding, because that's what everyone says, is you need to secure it, especially on a holiday weekend. We knew that that was going to be an issue. If you would like to secure a wedding at a park, just know that they're only open certain seasons of the year. So this particular shelter we were located at did not open until February. I think we might have booked it in October because it was closed when we booked it. So my guess, it was a later month in the year. So we kind of had to go off of the map that they gave us. And then in February, we were able to like gain access and go there and take measurements and stuff. So yeah, I don't have the date we did this, but we booked the venue at the park. This venue had its own bathroom house. It had 11 tables of 12 by 6 feet, I think. There was no noise ordinance. We had to make sure about that. There's a lot of rules depending on what venues you go to. Originally, we had wanted a big tent, and then they told us that in order to get a tent, we had to get a building permit. And in order to get a building permit, we had to check and make sure that there were no, like, lines running underground so we could stake the tent. And we were like, wow, that's a lot of work and a lot of money, and we're not paying for it. Tents are also, like, super expensive. Like, the big wedding tents, they're thousands of dollars. So do with that what you will. But just booking that was $250. All of this stuff I'm gonna round, so I hope that that makes sense for everyone. Next is we made the invitations, and we sent them out in January. So we made it using Canva, and then we went and ordered a sample from Canva, invitation, just to see sample. To make sure the QR code on the back worked, and to make sure that like everything was lined up properly, and none of the pictures were blurry and stuff like that. That was $12. And then we booked our photographer on the 28th of December. I was very lucky where I had one of the people in the bridal party, their sibling, their older sister, had done photography. I had seen some other stuff online, so I just reached out and said, hey, I have a wedding. What do you think? There were a few different packages for this specifically. They were $100 a person an hour, I think. So we went for both of them, the couple, for 3 hours. So that was $600. So this was just the like deposit. So we paid half up front, and then we paid the other half when we got the photos. So back in December, we paid that half, the $300. After that, to be completely transparent, my stepdad is a printer. He makes graphic design and he prints things. So he printed our wedding invitations for free, which was very nice. I don't know how much that would have cost. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's up in the ether. You can look it up, but he made them free of charge. So we had to just buy the envelopes and send them out. The envelopes, which was like, I said, like 100 envelopes. We just bought them on Amazon, white envelopes. Hope I don't spell anything wrong. Do apologize. Spelling is not my strong suit. And those were just $7 because it was real cheap. And then, spoiler, we actually got married. We actually eloped. We had always planned to get married on our anniversary, which was the 15th. So we went to the courthouse and got married on the 15th. We just didn't want a winter wedding, which is why the wedding was later in the year. And there we had to pay for the marriage license. It was totally free to like go. We had to actually go to the police station for the judge to marry us. License. And then we had to go to the court. We had to go to the courthouse to get some document, and then we went back to the police station, and we got married in front of the judge. He signed it, and then we had to go back to the courthouse for them to like stamp it. And all of that cost $25. We might have 2 copies of the marriage license, and that's why it's $25. I don't super recall. I do apologize. The next thing was I got my dress pretty soon after that. Let me look that up for you. So I was looking around for wedding dresses. I'm not exactly like the type of person to go out and look for a wedding dress. I ordered mine online from JJ's house, so I'll go ahead and write that. And I didn't want to spend a lot of money, I'll be honest. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it. So I just purchased a white, floor length, white, what they would call a bridesmaid dress. It's just a little more played down. I'm just not the person to want it to be like a ball gown, like really big and beaded or anything like that. I'll show pictures of the dress, but I thought it worked fine. I actually bought, or I went and sampled, so I had them ship me 3 dresses. I tried them all on in front of some people. We decided that we liked the one, so I just sent the others back and got the refund for them. I didn't have any problems with that. Some people said that they did. I did not. No questions asked. They just refunded me. And that dress, the one that I ended up getting, was $163, which, note, is a lot less than a lot of people spend on their wedding dresses. Later in the month I got it, or later on I got it tailored, but just to like make it look a little better on me. And it was also long. Normally when they send like mass-produced dresses like that, they claim they're not mass-produced, but of course they are. They're just like, I'm a short lady, and they're like, it was at least like a foot that we had to take off. Next is we shipped the invitations on the 15th of the next month, because this might be controversial, we didn't send any other things. We didn't send save the dates. We didn't send anything other than the invitation. We did, obviously, like, I would just contact people, and if they didn't respond, RSVP, because they were supposed to RSVP, I think, by April 1st, maybe? And so if I hadn't heard from anyone, I would reach out, you know, that we're all family, so it wasn't hard to get a hold of anyone and be like, hey, how's it going? It's also only 3 months, so I figured they're not gonna forget in 3 months, and they can, like, you know, hang the invitation on the fridge like anyone else. So I wasn't really worried about anything like that. So yep, we shipped 108, I think, invitations, and that cost $35 just for postage, which is ridiculous, but it is what it is. I then bought my shoes. I just bought them from Amazon. I did have to break them in. The heel of the shoe was kind of, it wasn't cooperating with my feet, but I broke them in and they were fine. Those were $13. Then we went and we bought my husband's suit that next month. This was one of our bigger expenses of the wedding, because he got a full suit tailored to him. That was one of the things that he really wanted, because, I mean, yes, it's our wedding suit, but also like funerals or formal events, like other weddings we go to, because we're in that era where like all of our friends are getting married. He now has a suit that he knows will fit. It's tailored to him and it looks really nice. I'll show pictures. But his suit, so this was a dress shirt, the jacket, pants, and socks, and a tie, I think. All of that together. Oh, where did we buy it from? Men's Warehouse, I think. I'll make sure. But that was all $673. And like I said, it was tailored. They took his measurements. He felt very good in his suit on our wedding day, which was very important to me. He already had dress shoes, so we didn't have to worry about that. Then we went and we bought vests. We bought 3. I think all of them were off Amazon. So we bought my husband's vest, and then 2 that we were looking at for the groomsmen to decide like which they would want to wear. And so the 3 that cost us $100, and we just kept all of them because the two we decided for the groomsmen were close enough that if an emergency happened, we had an extra vest. Hey, can you guess that an emergency happened and we needed to use that extra vest? And not an emergency per se, but one of the groomsmen just didn't order it in time, which seems like not a very good friend thing to do, but luckily we had the extra vest and we were like, well, wear this. It's ever so slightly different, but we won't notice. No one will notice. Then we ordered our catering on the 4th. We had been talking to the caterer. We had been talking to the caterer previously. They knew we were going to order from them for our wedding. We just needed to set a date to sit down and talk with them. I think this is too close to the wedding date. I don't know how close to the wedding date you need to contact your caterer. Like I said, we're in a small town. We used a local caterer from a Mexican restaurant. We had Mexican, like a taco bar for our wedding. And it was a restaurant I used to work at when I was younger. So we're like family with them, like we're really close. So they knew that this was coming up. It was not a surprise to them. We just had to actually pay them and say, like, set a time to pick up food and all that. So if you're using a more upscale place, maybe have people RSVP a month before so that you can do, like, get the caterer contact 2 months before the wedding. Because this, I mean, technically it's 2 months, but it's really like a month and a half. But so we ordered our food from our local Mexican joint. We got a shit ton of food. We got 200, there's no way. I think we got, I'm not sure. So they got us the regular, I think it was 12 inches by 18-inch pans, like big pans. And we got 2 beef, 2 chicken, lettuce, tomato, sour cream, cheese, like all the toppings. Then we got salsa and chips for the tables, and we had a little bit of queso. And then obviously we got taco shells, both hard and soft, because we had some gluten intolerant people. And we got Mexican rice. We had a lot of food, which would have been fine, but like I said, only we probably were down 20 people from what RSVP'd, so we didn't really need that much food, and we've been eating a lot of tacos. But food to feed what was supposed to be 80 people, that was $1,477. Could you believe this is the thing that cost us the most? I knew it was going to be the thing that cost us the most. I still think it was a great bargain. It came out to, I think it's $13 per person, because we had like 80. Yeah, I don't remember. We did the math, but it was like 15 bucks a person or something. So nothing crazy. Some wedding venues charge you a lot per person. So just be aware of that. Luckily, after we booked the venue, we didn't have to talk to them again. We would have if we hired people who came there. So technically, the photographers should have signed off with them on something, I think. But they're mostly worried about alcohol. If you had alcohol at the wedding, then we had to hire, or we had to sign a whole bunch of paperwork. So this might be another thing, but we had an alcohol-free wedding. We don't drink. A lot of the family doesn't do well with alcohol. They have a problem. So we said no alcohol for the wedding, but you're welcome. It was an earlier wedding. It was at 3 p.m. and it lasted until like 7. We were like, you're welcome to leave the wedding and go do whatever you'd like with your night. And if that includes celebrating Memorial Day weekend at the bar, you can go do that after the wedding. And if we had a DJ, I know, another contingency, we didn't have a DJ. I'll talk about that a little later. But if we had a DJ, we would have had to have them sign a contract with the park. I think this was about noise levels. I don't know. I couldn't imagine it'd be about anything else. But basically, if we had a contract with someone who was coming to the event and we were paying them for a service, then we were supposed to get we had to do a whole bunch of stuff with the park. So we just didn't do any of that because it's stressful enough planning a wedding. I'm not going to do all the paperwork. So we just didn't. Basically, anytime they were like, you'll need some paperwork for that, we just were like, oh, we don't need it. Sorry, back on track. Then once we ordered the food and we knew how many people we thought we were having, we ordered plates and silverware and cups and all that stuff off of Amazon. We just had regular paper cups, paper plates, plastic forks that were gold. Woo. I don't think anyone paid attention. I don't think it mattered. But they were on theme, so we bought them. For enough for 80 people, which was $155. Then I bought some pins for the bridesmaids to wear to the wedding as like a little gift. I like them a lot. And yeah, I just gave them out to make them feel like special and more into the wedding. You can see in the pictures, I wore a veil and a tiara and some jewelry. All of that was gifted to me. So the jewelry, there's like a proverb or like a saying that's like on your wedding day, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. I don't get it, and I didn't know it existed until everyone was like, what's your blue thing? What's the blue thing you're wearing? What's the borrowed thing you're wearing? And I was like, what are you talking about? It seemed really important to some people. So I borrowed some earrings from my mom, and I had a blue necklace on that I borrowed from a friend. But my mom's wedding gift to me was the veil and the tiara that I'm wearing. They were super expensive. I would not have spent that much on them. I think that if you got, just like, can we be serious for a second? This is my wedding ring. I have gotten a lot of compliments about this ring. I'm on a financial journey. I don't know if you know that. This ring, we got from Amazon for like $30. It's not a real diamond. One of the reasons is because I don't care. So that's totally up to me. Another is because, I think it looks just as good. I don't know what kind of, if it is a crystal, if it's glass, like I don't know, because I don't care. I'll show you on the screen or whatever, but, I think if you got, like, you can still get a tiara that's not diamonds, and it would look just as good and be way cheaper. So, I don't know. That's all up to you and what's important to you. If having everything be real is important to you, then that's that. But yes, so the tiara and the veil were gifted to me from my mom to wear on my wedding day. So, didn't have to pay for those. The next thing we bought was our beautiful wedding arch. We just bought that off of Amazon. I put it together in an afternoon. It took maybe 2 hours to put together because I was by myself. That was $119. I think it turned out really good. We put vines on it. I don't know. I think it looked fine. Nothing crazy. It was wood. It was very tall. We just wanted something to like have behind us. Like our speaker wasn't at a podium or anything, so we wanted something to like, here we are, there's the focal point, that's where we're walking to. So we did the wedding arch. Then I got my dress resized. It got finished on the 20th, so just a few days before my wedding. But it was fine. It was a local seamstress. We talked a whole bunch. She tailored the dress for the other wedding in February that I went to as a bridesmaid, so I knew her skills. And I think it came out really good. Tailoring? Sure. That cost $125. I would pay that all day, every day. It was super fantastic, and she did like a lot of work, so great stuff. Going back a little bit to the second, I went and bought fake flowers. So we did have our wedding at a park because I really like nature and outdoors. But I was cursed as a child by a witch. Just kidding. I'm allergic to bees. So my immune system doesn't like bees very, very bad. So I couldn't walk down the aisle with a flower bouquet of real flowers. I was very nervous being outside that it would attract bees. So I bought flake flowers from the Dollar Tree. And I used a steamer to flump them up, and I taped them all together, and I was very crafty about it. But I made my wedding bouquet out of that. And a toilet paper roll with some ribbon around it. I'll show you. It looks really good, I think, for what it is, because, I mean, no one's gonna know, so who cares? A bouquet. And that cost me $17. My wedding bouquet, and I'm very happy with that. If you do want real flowers, that's totally up to you. I have heard of people, because some people want their bridesmaids to have flower bouquets as well. And I've heard of people having, after like the ceremony, having the bridesmaids put the wedding bouquet into, into pots, like glassware, and having those be the centerpieces of the tables. So if that is something that's, you know, why not reuse? You don't want to hold the bouquet all night, so it's gonna go somewhere. Might as well have it be a centerpiece. I thought that was really, good. I thought that was a really good idea. Then we bought some speakers. So we bought a smaller speaker with a microphone. That was $110. This was for the walking down the aisle and the delivery of the vows and stuff. Like our officiant to be able to talk, because we were like in a field, so we didn't want him just like not to be able to be heard. So we gave him a microphone, and we had a speaker where he spoke out of. And then pre that, it played like our walking down the aisle music. Like I said, we didn't have a DJ, so I just asked, so the officiant was actually my stepbrother, and so I asked his girlfriend if, hey, so you're not sitting alone while he's officiating, would you mind being in the back and playing the music, like on the phone? She just had to like swipe between songs when the groom walked down, when the bride party walked down, when the groomsmen walked down, and then when I walked down. I was like, could you just swipe, now they're walking down. We had like a playlist. Swipe, now they're walking down. Swipe, now I walk down. And she did great, so we didn't need a DJ for any of that. And then we just turned on a other playlist with some more speakers. We got 2 bigger speakers. The whole, I think the like concrete like shelter we were under was like, it was like 25 by 40 feet maybe. So we just had a speakers for like ambiance music during dinner. Those cost $140. They were actually a steal because they're like really high quality. And we just Amazoned it. And yeah, we just played some music during dinner and all that was great. Then when we gave speeches, we just used that same mic with the microphone for speeches. And the like daddy, daughter, mother, son dance. And our first dance. And it was great. It was fine. We were buying all the little things at the very end here. So we went and oopsies. We went and bought the vines. We bought some fake vines for the arch. We bought a whole bunch of them. That was $40. And we just used I don't think we used anything to secure them to the arch. I was really worried about the wind. We brought a staple gun with us to secure them to the arch, but we kind of just like twisted because the vines they're fake artificial vines, so they have like wire running through them. So we just kind of twisted the wire around the arch and they stayed fine and it was great. And then we brought linens. So I haven't talked about tables because the venue came with tables. It came with 11 12 by 6 tables, like big rectangular picnic tables. So we just bought, this is crazy, but we bought tablecloths for all of them. And that cost $240. And then we borrowed 8 tables because my husband wanted the groom's party to like be at one side of the shelter and then everyone could like see us. We borrowed the tables. They didn't cost anything. But we also put like tablecloths on those. So now we have all these tablecloths, but it was cheaper to buy them than to rent them. So I'll do some kind of crafty project with them sometime. I don't know. But I have like 20 tablecloths and 11 of them are 12 feet long. So I don't know, it was cheaper. So that's just what we did. After that, we bought some paint because we had an old Christmas box that was actually pretty high quality. And I cut a slit in the top and I painted it and I covered it in some of the vines, and that was our card box. If you wanted to like donate money or have a card, we went in there. We also did have a guest sign-in book or like wedding sign-in book, but it was just like a regular journal from a store. It was actually sent to us as a gift from his great aunt. She sent it and was like, here's a journal to like, I don't know what the journal was for, but she sent it to us. And I was like, bam, that's going to be our guest sign-in book, because why not? It already is attached to like the wedding. It was a gift. So I was like, why not? So yeah, that's how we did the card box. Then I went to Sam's Club and I bought drinks. Bought a whole bunch of drinks. We bought, I wish I had the numbers. I'll put them on screen. But probably, so we bought, all right, so we had igloos, like 5-gallon igloos that we borrowed from people. And we made lemonade and Kool-Aid and iced tea, unsweet iced tea, I think. And then we had Powerades, water, and sodas. We did have some diabetic people there, so we had some sodas that were diet, that were good for them. I went and asked them like what drinks they would prefer. And then I was really worried about being so hot because it was at the end of May, but it actually got quite chilly. So I bought a whole bunch of water because I was worried that people would dehydrate. But it was all fine in the end. So, and we were very upfront about the fact that we would not have alcohol. No one tried to BYOB everything was fine in that regard, which was very nice. And because we went to Sam's Club, we were able to buy a lot in bulk, so drinks cost us $140. I looked at the shelter and took kind of inventory of what was there and what wasn't there, and bought a little bit of extra stuff just in case. So I'll just call this toiletries. Toilet supplies. So I packed a little box of feminine products for the women's bathroom. We had some extra rolls of toilet paper and extra hand soap, things like that, just in case like something ran out. Nothing ran out. I don't think any of those supplies got used, but we had them there because it was important to me that just in case. Then, I think maybe day of, I think I lied before, but we paid the rest of the photography. Part 2. So the other $300, close to the wedding day. And we are unconventional, if you couldn't tell. We were outside, a lot was going on. I am not a big cake person, and I didn't want a cake. For a while, we thought maybe we'd do a pie, but there's not a good way to share a pie with 80 people. So we ended up going to a local bakery, and we said, like a small town local bakery, and we said, this is what we're struggling with. What do you think we should do? And she said, cake pops, you should do cake pops. So we did cake pops, and they were a smash hit. All of them got eaten, which is crazy because we ordered enough for like, I think we ordered 200 or something, and we only had like 60 people at the wedding, but they all got eaten. We picked those up 2 days before the wedding, or the day before the wedding, so the 24th. And they were $1.50, $1.75 a piece. We spent $300 on them because I tipped too, because they're like a local bakery. We're going on to page 2. Get you out. But we were really, really, really happy with what we got. So, after that, you have to keep the food warm. So we bought some food supplies. Once we knew exactly what we were expecting, we went and we bought, the, like trays. I don't know. So we had cold food we need to keep cold, and we had hot food we need to keep hot. We were able to borrow the like stands that people put hot food on. There's like fuel on the bottom with like fire. I hope you know what I'm talking about. This. We were able to borrow those. So we just had to buy fuel for those. And then we bought some extra aluminum trays so we could have like trays of ice with like the lettuce tray on top of it to like keep it cold. And then we bought roses. We bought some flowers, which I know goes against what I just said. The fuel was $39. The aluminum trays were $37. And the flowers were $15. These were for the flower girls, so I just went and got roses, and then I de-petaled them myself. They're really easy to de-petal. You just like grab the top, wiggle it until it detaches from the stem, and then it just like falls apart. It's really easy. The baskets we used for the flower girls were Easter baskets that we just painted. It's really easy. So we had no problems with that. Then we bought ice day of. That was $60. We printed photos once we got them. So we had thank you cards, and we printed photos for them, and then I cut them into like little pocket sizes, because I thought it'd be cool. And then we shipped them, and that was all this past week. So the thank you cards the cards themselves were $15. The photo printing, I think we used CVS, was $11, and the shipping was $30. So let's review. We got the venue, we got samples, we paid the wedding photographer, we sent out invites, got our marriage license. Oh, also, just real quick, we did this backwards. So we started with $5,000, and then every time we bought something for the wedding, we subtracted it. I think that is way better than adding it, because you get to see how much you have left. So if I just like added a whole bunch of stuff together, you know, and then I'm like, well, I want to buy something, like I'm not good enough at mental math to just automatically know how much money I have to spend. So I think doing it the other way, and then you're like, oops, that's way much. I want to buy something that's $2,000, then I'm like, ooh, I only have 700 left. So I would highly recommend doing it that way rather than adding your expenses and then just like guesstimating what you have left. I would subtract it from the amount you're trying to spend. But let's add everything together. Spoiler alert, I have already done this because I've been planning this wedding. Are y'all getting nervous? I guess I could write that down here. Whew. Oh, crap. I was doing minus. Sorry about that. Good thing I wrote that down. 39, 37, 4, oh my gosh. Sorry. Plus 39, 37, 15, 60, 15, 11, 35. So we came out $11 under budget. Oopsies. Which absolutely perfect, you know, blew my mind. Actually it didn't, but it seemed like there was always one more thing to buy. And especially with all these little expenses at the end, I was nervous we were gonna go over. But we did it! We had a wedding under 5K. It was stressful at times, and there were kind of hard truths where you have to kind of talk to yourself and say, is this important enough? Is it not? You know, what do you really picture the day as? I never had an image in my mind of what my wedding day would be like, so it was really easy for me to be like, I think we don't have a DJ. And then my husband was like, okay. And we made it work, and it was still very memorable. It was a great time. And now we get to talk about wedding gifts. So, we got a few wedding gifts. I don't know the total expense that those cost, but we got new pots and pans, we got cookware, we got a steamer that I used for the dress, which don't really recommend because if someone doesn't order it, then you might not have it in time. Little household items, we got cat carriers for our animals. We had just amazing gifts. We also got money. We had a honeymoon fund up on the website if you wanted to contribute to that. That was kind of what we preferred, but then people asked us to put physical gifts on there, so we did. So first and foremost, we didn't use all the fuel, So I went and I returned it. I kept all the receipts and I returned the fuel we didn't need. So that was $25. Then we got wedding money as gifts. I think we got money from maybe 13 people or like households, like between 10 and 15. But we're beloved because they went above and beyond. So we had like my parents, his parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends. They helped us recoup a lot of the money we had spent on this wedding. And we obviously kept the wedding low cost just because, one, we didn't have a lot of money at the time, and two, we didn't want it to set us back in reaching our financial goals. Specifically at this time was the emergency fund. Guys, for wedding gifts, for like money, just money, we ended up getting $4,105. I don't know how loved we are that happened. We had a couple people that gave $500 and one person that gave $1,000. And then just the miscellaneous money added up, which was crazy because we only had like maybe 10, 15 envelopes. And a lot of them were like $50, maybe a couple hundred, $200. But we seriously got, just the generosity is crazy. So with the wedding money, our wedding cost us $859, which was crazy. This is not exactly how all this worked. That money actually went to something else. We accepted that the money was a loss. But like we spent this and then we recouped it, but it was already spent, So absolutely fantastic. So great. The wedding was great. Everyone, even though we had stipulations, so we asked for no kids under 10 and we asked for no alcohol, and it was outside. It was fantastic and I loved it. It was great. So that was my wedding. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope this helped you plan a little bit of whatever you might be planning. Let me know how your wedding goes. Why did I write a 2 there? That's supposed to be a 5. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. I'll answer whatever I can. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, everyone.